Look, in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. Wait, hold on. Wait, who is it? Wait, what? Wait, and what is exactly is she doing? All right, all right, and why? And wait, okay, and wait, hold on. We saw Supergirl, and you know what that means.
Now it's time for How Did This Get Made? We're gonna have a good time, celebrate some failure, not just be a hater, cause you know you wonder, how did this get made? Let's wallow in the mediocrity of subpar art. Perhaps we'll find the answer to the question, how did this get made?
Hello, people of Earth. I am Tall John Scheer, a.k.a. Paul Scheer, a.k.a. someone who is giving bad advice to Canadians about pool ownership in the mini episodes. And welcome to How Did This Get Made? Hi. How are you? And welcome to the podcast that tries to make sense of the movies that make no sense. And today we have a movie that is kind of finishing up an unofficial Superman trilogy. We've talked about Superman 3. We've talked about Superman 4. We've even gone into the Zack Snyder Justice League cut. And now we are going to the 1984 film Supergirl. And normally this is the part where I tell you like a little bit of the plot. I like to unpack it a little bit if you haven't seen the movie. But if I start to do that, I'm going to start pulling a thread here that this entire thing will fall apart. I will be here for 5 hours. I cannot explain the plot. Suffice to say, Superman has a cousin, and this cousin comes to Earth and gets caught up in a love quadrangle with a witch and a landscaper and herself. And all of this because she accidentally lost an orb that powered her city that's not in space, but it's in inner space. Anyway, it's Supergirl, and we're going to get into it.
She lost it, Paul, but I'll wait for my proper introduction before I speak.
Yeah, don't blame her. But also, I'll wait for my intro.
And you also seemed skeptical that she's his cousin. I mean, she is his cousin.
Well, look, let's get into it. I'm not saying that cousin, yes, but I mean...
Don't go on Quora to ask that question. You will not be happy with the answers.
I have some things to break down. I need to do it all, and I'm going to do that by bringing in my two amazing co-hosts. Please welcome Mr. Jason Mantzoukas. Jason, how are you?
Paul, thrilled to be here. Couldn't be more excited to talk about this movie. I want to come in hot. I have no idea what you're talking about Canadian pool stuff, but that really made me laugh. But I want to come out hard and heavy and say that we are doing this episode. It was mere 2 weeks ago that we did the Snyder Cut, which was universally our most loved episode, least controversial.
People loved it. Did not have no problem with it at all.
And I want to say right now, I loved this movie so much more than the Snyder Cut. I would watch this movie again so that I would have watched 4 hours of Supergirl instead of the 4 hours of the Snyder Cut.
Okay, first of all, let's just remind people who did not listen to that episode, we liked the Snyder Cut when we talked about it.
I agree with fine.
I will agree with you. This is one of those rare How Did This Get Made movies where everything is working on a level of insanity that I enjoyed every moment. I enjoyed every performance.
I mean, like, let's not forget Peter O'Toole, Mia Farrow. Like, there's Peter Cook is in this movie.
Oh, Peter Cook is amazing.
This is like some next level stuff. Okay, let's get into it.
Well, let's get into it. And let me introduce our other co-host back from a 2-episode break. Miss June Diane Raphael. How are you, June?
I'm doing okay. How are you, Paul?
I'm doing well. I miss you. And
I miss you too. I started off this episode with a bad attitude.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited about our special guest. I know you'll introduce her, but I want everybody to know that I'm back on track.
I'm happy.
I'm very happy to see everybody.
I love that you're apologizing for your pre-show. We didn't even know this going in.
Yes, I'm just apologizing for like the banter. I just came in with a nasty attitude. Well, and I'm kind of like a nasty person these days. And so hopefully I can put that aside. And I'm processing like a lot of anger about the pandemic and
perhaps this can be like a Janet Jackson nasty girl take on this movie.
Okay, quick question, Paul. You said you were talking about to Canadians about pool ownership as though there's another option with a pool, like leasing it or renting it for some period of time.
Well, right. I guess I was saying like, we were talking about, do I want to own a pool? It wasn't like, do I want to own or lease a pool? It was like, we were getting into it. They were in, well, I don't want to get into it. You can listen to the mini episode. A husband and wife.
I won't.
Okay, of course not. Husband and wife called in on alternate weeks to argue whether or not they should get a pool. I took the side of the wife in this relationship, and it was much criticized by many people on the Discord. But I still stand by some of my thoughts. June, before we get into this movie and introduce our guest today, I just want to ask you a question for the record, because many people really wanted to get your opinion on this. Would you ever watch the Zack Snyder Justice League cut, a movie that comes in at 4 hours?
Listen, would I ever? I have trouble with this stuff. It's not it is not a part of my interests. I would, I guess, if I was being paid to. I'm sorry, I really do have to say that. I have so many other things that I need to watch.
What would that number be?
I got to get at Sister Wives. I got to get at the Housewives are in almost every major city now. Like, I have only so many spare hours a day. And what would that number be? Yeah. I would watch it for $1,000.
Oh, that's a pretty fair price.
Total?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well,
I mean, like, this could be like a a thing that we do. We can auction off for charity, pay June $1,000 to, and maybe watch it and live stream the watch.
You don't even have to do an episode. We just have to watch.
I bet you could actually raise quite a bit more money than $1,000 if you did a live stream of June just watching and commenting on the Snyder Cut.
All right,
yeah, I would do it. I would absolutely happily do it for charity or for myself.
Okay, well, there it is.
I would like to sit next to you and every 10 minutes hand you $10.
Oh my God, that would be great, because I do fall away, and you're going to see I'm going to have some trouble spots on this movie too. I have a hard time if I'm not interested in paying attention, and so I think that's a great plan, Jason, because I do find myself just falling away and traveling.
Yeah, I can't just give you $1,000 at the end of it. I feel like I need to incentivize you to keep going.
To keep going, absolutely.
Well, all right, we'll get into all of that, but I needed to get it on the record. We have a special guest. We haven't really had a guest on the show in such a long time, but we had a friend of the podcast who wanted to come on the show, and we are excited to have her. You know her as an amazing actress. She won an Academy Award. She is a director. She is a writer. Please welcome Brie Larson. Welcome, Brie.
Hello, I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so grateful.
I am so happy to have you here.
Don't ever be grateful.
Do you hear what?
I can't accept that.
Take it back. Take it back.
There's so much to be grateful for right now. Like, we're alive. Like, we've survived a horrible time.
Be grateful for the vaccine.
Please. Yes, vaccines are coming.
Listen, you can be grateful for lots of things.
I guess that's true.
We got to find the beauty in every day. In this movie, there's a lot of beauty in this.
Be abound.
And Brie, in this pandemic, you have also you have a brand new podcast, Learning Lots, with Jesse Ennis, but you also have done a bunch of great YouTube stuff here. Like, you have embraced the pandemic style. Like, you are now one of us. You're in this kind of live stream podcast world. Yeah, I'm in it, and I love it. Yeah, I love being able to
I don't want to be in this world. Stay in the world you're in, Brie.
When it's safe, I will.
Yeah, please. If I can be at home, do not stick your toe in here. I'm trying to get out.
June is actively trying to discourage
I'm literally
new podcasters.
Trying to get out.
Brie, have you ever seen this movie? Is this something that, like, Supergirl, what's your connection to it at all? Like, do you have any fondness to the old, like, Christopher Reeve Supermans or anything like that?
I feel so much shame that I hadn't seen this movie previously. I feel I haven't done my due diligence in just filmic history.
Yeah.
History of female representation, superhero representation. I mean, shame on me.
The first female leading superhero ever.
No,
this movie.
That's not true.
Is it not true?
No, Sheena.
Okay.
The Jungle Queen.
I go off of research that our good friend Nate Kiley gives me, and I'm finding many times again.
Paul, just stand in Brie Larson's feedback. Just stand in it and accept it. I loved witnessing that moment.
It's interesting,
I'd like more of
but
them.
Sheena came out 3 months before, so we just got to give credit.
Okay, I
where
appreciate
credit's due. It was all 1984. It was really happening. Yeah.
All right, I love it.
had never actually heard of this movie.
So you hadn't heard of the
Supergirl?
1984 Supergirl?
Or
I
Sheena?
I had heard of the idea of a Supergirl, but I did not know there was a movie called Supergirl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, being that I am older than everybody here, I was acutely aware of this movie. I saw this movie. I was obsessed with, of course, all things superheroes. And even though Superman and the DC stuff wasn't my thing, I for sure saw this also because I also loved Helen Slater. I loved Helen Slater, who plays Supergirl. I especially loved her from a movie called The Legend of Billie Jean, which is her and Christian Slater. And a bunch of toughs steal Christian Slater's scooter. And Helen Slater, like a badass, goes after them. And she keeps going, fair is fair. Give my brother back his bike. I was really hoping
she calls the scooter a bike?
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why. It was like a Vespa type scooter. It was like a scooter with a motor. It wasn't like a kick scooter.
I remember the cover of the video box, and I always thought, this is the story of the Michael Jackson song.
Oh wow! No, not at all.
Not at all.
It was. I remember it as being awesome, like an awesome tale of like kids getting revenge on like bullies and like nefarious ne'er-do-wells.
Well, just to put this in a little bit of context, the Salkinds who did Superman 2, Superman 3, and Superman 4, they are just trying to get a cash grab because Superman 1 and 2 are so successful, and they're like, let's dump a lot of money into this, and no one really comes with them into this Supergirl world. Like John Williams doesn't come with them. Their directors don't come with them. So they're kind of a little bit on an island, but they put a lot of money into this movie. And one of the facts that blew my mind was the opening credit sequence cost $1 million. And it was my first thing that I wrote down. I was like, this is the craziest, most long, boring sequence I've ever seen.
Me too.
I fast forwarded.
I felt like I went through every emotion with the credits. I was like, I've watched an entire movie. I've been through everything. Through this weird void of shiny letters.
And it was almost like standing on the other end of a revolving door because everything is just coming in, circling and going. You're like, okay, is something happening? We're not even going. We haven't seen anything. We're just seeing words in space. And it's $1 million, and the soundtrack is like, please, John Williams, don't sue us. But it sounds enough like Superman, but enough different that they're trying to get in there. And this movie, I think, has a pretty lackluster opening for like a big, exciting superhero movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that opening kind of tires you out. Like you need a break. I think I did take a break after.
Can I say something though?
Yeah.
This movie to me. And again, no, I didn't see the Zack Snyder cut. I'm not up on superheroes. It's not it's not my thing. But this didn't feel like a superhero movie. I never felt like, that feeling of like they're coming to save the day. She's doing something that I can't believe she's doing. There was nothing to me that felt super about her.
She has powers. It's just unclear what. There's so much that's so flimsy. It's about as flimsy as that inner space world she lives in, which apparently, if a dragonfly flies through it, it tears open and everyone could die.
It is covered in
the teepee
saran
crystal
wrap.
Mountain that I guess we're supposed to understand was underwater.
I guess you know what it was. I guess it was there was nothing enjoyable to me about learning about her powers. Like there's nothing to me that's always the fun and like realizing what they can do, understanding
she takes to it pretty quickly.
She takes to it so quickly, and then there's just no fun in it.
I agree. I noted like it was not until like an hour into the movie that she has her first like proper heroic Supergirl versus, an enemy fight. And that fight takes place against a tractor, like a tractor that has her
fairly slow moving.
Her 35-year-old love interest trapped in its jaws.
A lawn care business
Too
owner.
old. He was too old.
My conjecture is he was so old. It was crazy how old.
By the way, I did do the math. They are 7 years different. But I have a lot of questions. I don't want to jump there just yet because I think I want to go back to what Brie was saying.
I want to talk about the Tiki Mountain more.
Yes, I want to talk about this world that we're introduced to in the beginning, which is so convolutedly explained by the amazing Peter O'Toole.
What's that going to be, Zoltar?
I think
A tree.
A tree. What is a tree?
A lovely thing which grows on Earth.
Earth? You mean where my cousin went?
And where, one day soon, perhaps I might venture as well.
I don't believe you. How?
In that. Through there.
The binary chute, but you could never survive the pressure. It would
In that
destroy
I can.
you.
Zip, zap, and I'm gone.
But you'd never leave us, Zoltar. You'd never leave Argo City.
Indeed I might, Kara. Too much of a good thing here. Perhaps I'll try Saturn instead. Yes, I think I might.
Saturn is... Is that further away than Earth?
Silly question. Did you not study six-dimensional geometry at school? Do they not teach you anything anymore? Saturn and Earth are in outer space, but we are in inner space.
So, first of all, they're in something that's very hard to understand. They're not in space, they're in inner space, yet they are survivors of Krypton, but we don't know that. That's why I said cousin, because like, well, didn't everyone die on that planet? Mm-hmm. And then it's like, well, she knows that her cousin's on Earth, but how would she even know that? Because it was a big, like, it wasn't like Superman's been writing letters.
You know what it is? This is my conjecture.
Okay.
I feel like, because everybody's kind of saying the same stuff in terms of we don't understand what her powers are. She doesn't demonstrate or really understand. We don't have the typical kind of, origin story of gaining new powers and understanding how they work. But I think that what they were doing the calculus on was thinking, everybody has already seen that in Superman. We don't need to do it for Supergirl. We just need to say she's his cousin. So when she gets here, she's Superman. She has his power set. So why we don't even need to explain it, because the audiences have just become obsessed with this character already. So to have an origin story would seem almost redundant. Kryptonian comes to Earth, yellow sun, gives superpowers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think they were counting on that information already being known.
But it's so crazy because, like what you're saying, Brie, like where they live in this weird like beehive tree bone, some bone world that is, I guess, created by Peter O'Toole with his magical wand. Yeah, and then their windows are made of plastic. She seemingly is the only one being sucked out. Everyone else seems to have no problem with gravity. Like she's the only one. Like, and I don't even understand. Like, okay, so wait, hold on. So Peter O'Toole has taken the device that powers their entire world to play with. Mm-hmm. Like, he's not evil. Yes. Like, you would think,
he wants to go to Earth. He wants to create a tree, I believe, and go to Earth.
A bone tree.
It's true.
By the way, if he's
a very good person, because don't forget, the second he is found out for doing something wrong, about 15 minutes into the movie, he's like, well, now I must put myself in the Phantom realm.
Yes.
He decides to imprison himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
pretty harshly.
It's incredible.
But why would he? I mean, there's so many things that are happenstance in this film. Like, he has stolen this orb, the decahedron or whatever it is, and when Mia Farrow, in her very quick scene, basically says, "Hey, did you steal that?" and he's like, "No," then he drops it on the floor and just like kind of kicks it away, and then that's how she like everything in this movie is bonkers. Like she's got this thing, and she's like, "Oh well, I guess I can make I use my wand to make like a dragonfly. Now it's going to come to life." There's so much that is just
There's
wild.
So much mythology, it seems like. They're building so much mythology. Who are these people? Where do they live? What level of magic do they have? They've got a wand. They've got a power source. Peter O'Toole has created a spaceship in order to travel to Earth or maybe Venus or maybe Mars. None of it matters.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like they explain so much that then nothing makes any sense anymore.
She gets in the pod and she gets out of there.
And everything is like equal. Everything is equal. And like, I could never really track what the rules were. So, I mean, I watched this movie twice, by the way, because I was like, I gotta.
You did the Snyder cut.
I was scared. I was scared that you guys were going to be like, what? This made perfect sense. Of course there was. Like, because I.
Agree, what? We do movies that make no sense.
I missed the establishing shot of Faye Dunaway's amusement park home. And so I was truly shaken when that woman comes in on the train buggy. And I was like, where are we? What's happening?
I never
talk
knew the
about
answer
that.
to that. So wait, why were they in an amusement park? I still don't know.
That's unclear.
No,
I think
Okay.
it was only because it had to be a place where it didn't make sense for a man who owns a landscaping company to come by.
Okay,
But the
may I
fact-
just
it's
say,
not
though,
just
that the
that-
shot of them, I'm sorry to start screaming, but the shot of them flying in that, like, football
amazing.
player bumper car, I was crying laughing. That is,
the
to
best.
this day, it's one of the funniest things I've
And
ever
where
seen.
the fuck did she take him? Because she flies seemingly so far away. Like,
Yeah.
she brings him to a beach, and the way that she flies back, it seems like she might have flown him to, like, the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
She brought him out to Oregon.
There's also a really weird component to this movie, which is when she's flying Supergirl style through the city, it looks like a giant city. It looks like skyscrapers and like
Yeah.
Metropolis or Central City or any of the kind of DC cities, right? But all of the activity takes place in what appears to me to be like the equivalent of Smallville, like
Right.
small town
Midvale.
America, like a Mayberry type world in which everybody knows each other. Because like the coincidental run-ins, like not only is Faye Dunaway
pretty
some
rural.
sort of witch who lives in an abandoned amusement park with Joey Tribbiani's mom, and
That
Shred the
relationship,
Vaccaro.
I could see an entire movie
All of it.
just
All
on
I
the two
want.
of
All of
them,
it.
like
Yes.
just
More
the two of them
Coven.
aging
love.
and in this strange like family setup that like felt honestly like pretty subversive in an exciting way. I was like, what are these two ladies?
right, but
Up
it's when you
to-
consider
Well,
that
are
to
they
get in or out
witches?
of the house, they have to ride in amusement park like cars.
I mean, that's like Silver Spoons, and I know I'm dating
Yeah.
myself here. That's Silver Spoons level shit where like a train is going through the house. Like,
Except that Silver Spoons, they put a train in an actual home. They live in a haunted house or
Yes.
they live inside a ride.
Yes.
and they do
Yes.
make a reference to like, oh, the rent is getting higher
I was just
here.
about to say, I could not handle them being like, how are we going to pay these bills? I was like, how about turn the amusement park
Yes,
park
yeah.
on?
Why are you in an
Open it.
First,
Right,
I get
make
an
it a
apartment.
commercial.
Get an
You are
apartment.
in a commercially zoned building.
Now, that's
You're living in
think
a
about
business.
Think about it like this. They're paying rent. So that means at some point they were looking for apartments and they looked at a bunch of places and the realtor was like, I do have this one place.
on
We
the
should
edge
go
of
look at
town.
it. Brought them to an abandoned amusement park and they were like, we'll take it.
So many questions like, are there showers? Probably not.
Probably
Well,
Why would
no,
there be?
and also that they go through all the bills. They're like, oh,
Right.
rent and the electricity and the water. And then they're like, but property taxes? And she's like, I've got it handled. I've got this glass gourd looking thing that's going to save all of our property tax issues.
You would think they were like almost squatters or were like the villains who took
Yes.
over an abandoned place and are now using it for, that's like a real comics thing, but they pay rent and have enormous house parties.
Can I also just talk about, I just want to appreciate the open floor plan. They must have taken down a couple of walls in there because also it seems like Faye Dunaway, who, like I said, give me more of Faye Dunaway, give me more of Nigel. I want all of these characters.
100%.
Her bedroom is in the main part of the house.
Yeah.
Brenda Vaccaro's bed is nowhere to be seen. Like, I don't know, like, does she have a separate wing? Because you only see one bed and the fridge is right next to the bed-ish. But then they have this party and I'm like, well, who are these people? Because the party is a wild assortment of like hipsters, older people. I can't make heads or tails of these
Especially
people.
for the fact that they appear to live again in like a small Midwestern town.
Yeah.
Like that's what it looks to me like they're trying to present, like wholesome, aw shucks, small Midwestern town.
But
Not
by the way, like two women running their own amusement park and living
they running
there
it, June? Are they running it?
No, I'm just pitching another movie, which
Okay.
is two women in their 50s, heading into their 60s, in the winter of their lives, like running an amusement park in a small
love it.
town. Like, I am so interested.
I'm very interested
That
in
relationship was fascinating to me. And their clothing, like they...
it's called like hot flashes and cold ices. It's about two
I am
perimenopausal women
fascinated.
who are running an amusement park. I'm into this.
I really am. And like because I don't know, there were so many things that I loved about this movie. The main thing was their relationship and their clothes because they were like dressed up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like
always dressed up.
Always. They were always like, dressed to the nines.
Fashion is a big deal.
Yeah. The fashion's great.
So the fashion is great. I agree. And I liked that they were, and I think I'm right in saying this, although now am I right? They were witches, right? That was their kind of like.
My question.
Okay, so I don't know if they were both witches.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if they are. See, I was asking myself this question watching it the second time because I'm like, what makes a witch a witch? Because she
Sometimes
basically
I feel
just
like I'm
has
a witch.
access to a library of spell books.
Right.
So she actually doesn't know how to do anything except when she's reading word by word how to do the spells. So does that make you a witch or does that make you have a witch library?
Well, because this is a good point, because Nigel seems to be the key to unlocking her witchiness, because there are points in the movie where they look in a mirror and you can see Supergirl, and then Brenda Vaccaro is like, how did you do that? And she's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like being a witch is like being a real estate agent in LA. Like it's available to all of us. You know what I mean? Like at any given point, we could announce that we're real estate agents and nobody's going to question
it. Well, you do have to take a test, but I will say this.
If that's the case, I would love to show you a beautiful 2.5 bedroom in West Hollywood.
It's just your upstairs, right, Jason? That you're looking for a roommate.
It is. I need
There's
roommates.
a great apartment in the Phantom Zone that has a bed very prominently displayed for some reason.
It's got dark mud baths. It's got everything.
And you're
need.
right, Paul. You do have to take one test. And no disrespect to all the real estate agents who are listening in. I know there is one test you have to take.
That's the main part of our audience. There is a moment in the beginning, and Brie, you've seen it twice, so you can maybe help me with this, where they're sitting on a bearskin rug having a picnic, and this is
it's a tiger.
Cook. Oh, sorry, tiger skin. Sorry, tiger skin. Yes.
Start off with that. It's a tiger.
They're on a tiger skin rug having a casual lunch. And he said, like, she goes, oh, I figured it out. The secret of controlling the world is being invisible.
You'd almost know how to make me invisible.
Oh, I do know. Take 5 black beans on the head of a dead man. Place 1 bean in his mouth, 2 beans in his eyes, then...
Nigel, enough.
But it works. Then you can get anywhere.
I can't breathe.
What the fuck am I? What?
I rewatched that like 5 times, so I can tell you what happens, okay?
Okay, please.
So first of all, we established that they're on a tiger rug outside on a picnic near a lake before we established them. And then it pans up to Faye Dunaway getting champagne, and she goes, yes, it's such a beautiful world. I can't wait for it all to be mine. And then he says, well, the only way to rule the world is to become invisible, which I was like, wait. Hold on a second. And I was like, well, they're going to explain this. Yeah. No, they don't explain why you have to be invisible in this world to rule. My notes say, have the quotes, and then after in capitals, it says, how? And then after that, it says, now a black bean story? He immediately explains himself by going, well, you take 5 black beans, you put 2 in each eye and 1 in his mouth. Oh, you need a dead man's head, too. A dead man's head and black beans, which makes you become invisible, which makes you able to rule the world. And that's how you understand the world that we're living in.
But that's not what happens, though. But she goes.
That's what I was going to say. What would be so interesting
invisible.
is if that becomes the spine of Faye Dunaway's plan. She gets the orb of power and she starts to get the potential to become invisible, thus fulfilling the goal of
I don't know what the goal was, though.
Ruling the world?
But she doesn't ever become invisible, does she?
No. But then she goes, then she's like, well, you know what? Actually, the way to rule the world is to make people fall in love with you. And then that becomes like the midpoint.
And I do think that's true.
Well, there you go. And then the third part of the plan was, fuck it, let's just erect a giant castle that doesn't look anything like the amusement park in the center of town. Like, I mean, we'll get into that. But this opening sequence, when that little orb falls into her cocktail glass. Yeah. Did you think it was her?
Nacho cheese?
Yeah.
Did you think it was Kara? Because I thought she was in an orb.
I thought she was tiny. I thought inner space was a tiny world.
That's what I thought too.
Interesting.
And I thought, oh, she's going to release Kara. But no, she immediately knows this orb from this other world is so powerful. And she immediately dumps Nigel. And then Kara comes shooting out of the water.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to know. What water was because that really confused me. What water was Kara in, A, and B, when she comes out of the water, she is already in full Supergirl costume.
Yes.
It is fully, like Superman's costume, I believe, canonically is made out of the blanket that he was wrapped in, or something like that. And that's why it has that. The color is the choices of the color. She just comes out somehow knowing how to dress as Supergirl. No, although not knowing, it seems to have been made, the choice has been made for her.
Well, she flies out of the water. There are some colorful sheets on that orb. I will say, I mean, I don't want to break it down to a point where we can't recover from, but the orb goes out of a window on the left, and then she gets in an orb that goes out of a window on the right. So they both leave in separate directions, but yet they land. One comes out of the water, and then one comes out of the sky. I'm like, I don't even understand the geography of how they got there. And it seems like immediately, like, she's there to save her world because her homeworld is going to be destroyed without the orb, right? That's the power source.
It's the power. Everything will fade and die without that orb. And her immediate instinct upon arrival, matriculate into high school.
Right. Let me go into boarding school.
So,
I'm here to
I
find
gotta
the
talk
orb.
about that for a second.
Everybody's life is hanging in the balance. I need to join that high school.
My reading of that was, it looked to me like she was watching a softball game and saw, is this right? Because it feels crazy, and saw a softball.
Yeah.
And thought that looks like an orb.
Oh, whoa.
And so I'm going to go with them because they've got orbs.
Oh, I just thought that she was like, I love the game of softball. I've got distracted from my mission.
I think it is. I think what it is
because there's a close-up of that softball, Jason. And
no. I totally know what you mean.
Softball, and then there's like a close-up of the bag.
I agree. I totally agree, and I understand what you're saying. I think they were trying to have, though, the young because in the comics, Supergirl goes to school.
Got it.
And like part of it, the same way Peter Parker goes to school, and young Superman, like when he's young in Smallville, like it's a lot of like high school stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I was like, they want to be having like that. They want to tell that story of like, she's trying to be a normal girl by day, but she has to be Supergirl at night.
Let me throw one thing out at you all here. Is there any reason for her at any point to have a secret identity?
No.
Yeah.
No,
none.
sir.
Well, I'm also amazed by, it's one of those things too where, I mean, this is such a trope in movies and one of my favorite tropes, which is the like, oh, if she has brown hair, no one recognizes you thing. Like, obsessed with that in movies. And I was so grateful that happened because that's an excellent choice.
Well,
it's certainly better than just Clark Kent wears glasses and Superman doesn't.
Yeah.
But I liked her so much better with blonde hair. I'm so sorry. I'm going to speak plainly right now. I felt like once I'm going to speak plainly and I'm going to speak my truth.
Wow. Stand in that.
Get ready. I felt like and she's obviously a beautiful woman, but the brown hair was so jarring to me, and I just wanted to see Supergirl. Like I love that about Clark Kent and Superman, that he does look the same and he looks great as both. Whereas for her, it felt like they made her such a nerd.
You thought she was a nerd?
What?
Yeah, I did.
Because she does answer that dimension geometry question or whatever.
I did.
Her friend, Lois Lane's sister? Which was also interesting.
I love that actress.
So June, you just want to be on record as saying that Supergirl as a brunette is a fucking nerd, and that you would put her in a locker if you were in that school with her. You
know what? Here's the thing, and I both thought she was too much of a nerd and actually not enough a nerd, because
interesting.
To me that's what's so fun about Superman and Clark Kent, that he's so awkward and uncomfortable around girls. And so there's so much fun in that.
The issues in her being Linda Lee I could spend a long time talking about that.
I mean, let's break it down. Like, first of all, why pick Linda when Kara is not Like, it's not like my name is Mr. Plick. It's like,
where did Linda come from? Like, why did she need help with a last name but not a first?
Yeah. I wanted her to say my name is Robert E. Lee.
I was so excited for that. Yeah. I was so excited for that. Or maybe Robin Lee.
Or just go with Kent.
Yeah, or Kent.
Strange.
Or Kent. Like, why did, like, I felt like they showed her superpower like they showed Kaiser Soze in The Usual Suspects. Like, he's like, what's her name? And she's like, name. Poof, Robert E. Lee. Linda Lee. I was like, well, all right, wasn't like, if she can't come up with a fake name, like, that's not like, it didn't need that much like backing there.
No, it was like a bad sketch where she's like, tacos Lee.
Stapler Desk is my name. And the administrator in that room is like, who are you? I've never seen you before in my life.
Like, he knows every student at the school.
They're playing like a fish out of water story, like she doesn't understand local customs. She doesn't understand things. But then she also does understand quite a bit of things. She understands the general structure of going to school and classes.
She knows to sign in and sign out.
She knows to sign in. And
she knew how to make a transcript for herself.
To type a letter of recommendation and how to put it in the filing cabinet. And I like those little problem-solving superpower things. I enjoy that. Those are fun, especially when it's for like teenage superheroes, for it to be like the stakes are small, but to them it's big, you know?
Why? Like, I mean, again, it seems time is of the essence. Her homeworld is going to implode without this orb, and
there's no urgency.
There's no urgency. There's no
clock. There's no clock. There's no like, you only have 1 week before your parents and everybody else die in wherever.
And when you were even saying, Gene, that she thought that the baseball was the orb, she has no problem destroying an orb in that like lacrosse match when she turns her back on it and it explodes on her back.
Oh, field hockey.
Field hockey. Yeah. And by the way, why are those kids trying to kill her?
Those girls are on the same team. The girls who are attacking Lois Lane's cousin, what's a sister rather. What's Lois Lane's sister's first name?
Lucy Lane.
Lucy Lane.
Yeah.
The bullies who are attacking Lucy Lane, they're playing a field hockey game, and her own teammates are trying to. She goes. The one girl goes to hit it so hard it takes her out. Like they are trying to kill.
I know that side story that there's just two girls that are trying to hurt the other girls at the school for no reason.
No,
that's
good
explained.
Reason.
Nobody has any reason to do anything, and everyone acts like an idiot. Like when they are in that basement, like they're like, we will burn the flesh off of these people. Not like we're going to turn the cold water on. It was like everything they do is so malicious, and there's no end game for them except for that they might have gotten burnt by water. Like that, like I guess that's it. I mean, we don't see them again. That problem goes away. I don't want to even go back. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of bad people in this movie, especially the dual truck drivers.
Including Matt Frewer from Lawnmower Man 2.
That's such an amazing choice, by the way. I was screaming when like her first interaction on Earth is with two guys that are trying to like be gross and like lift up her skirt.
Yes.
It was very interesting. It was like, your first experience with humans is that they're trying to rape you. And when she asks, this actually broke my heart and took my breath away. When she asks, why are you doing this?
Oh, I know.
They say, I wrote it down, it's just the way we are.
Yeah.
That was an indictment.
An indictment of humanity.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Really?
That was an indictment of humanity for real. And that is like, and the fact that like, she's dressed like she has Superman's kind of iconic look,
Superman
color,
in this world
all of it.
Has to be they assume, I guess they say one line like, what's up with the Halloween costume? But this is a world in which Superman does exist. So you might be like, maybe.
Oh, yeah. And the minute she throws Matt Frewer through a wall, the other guy is like, oh, you want to play rough or something like that? And I'm like, whoa, guy, do you not understand? This is another super person.
She did it with her breath. If you ever saw a human being with their breath throw someone through a fence with such force, you'd be like, all right. You know,
I'm out of here.
Yeah, it was like he was like, "Oh, I got this," and he takes out a knife. Like, and that scene is dark. This is a
very dark. It's very
dark
upsetting.
scene. These two truck drivers first of all, I don't understand why you have two truck drivers. It just bopping around together. It seems like that's a lone I
agree.
job.
Truck drivers shouldn't. They're not usually found together.
They swap seats so they can keep going.
The tag team.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is. I mean, they meet awful people. I mean, and I would also say that there's so many. I also want to talk about how mean Faye Dunaway was to that woman who was flirting with Nigel, where she puts a scorpion in her mouth.
Oh my God. I just want to tack on, because we just immediately dove into this movie, which I'm so glad that we have. I loved every actor in this movie, including her. Like, I just want to be clear.
Absolutely.
That every actor is doing a fantastic job. And my issue is that the movie makes no sense. But other than that, it is so good.
Every actor's doing the best. The best.
Yes.
And they're all weirdly tonally in sync. It's very strange. Like, there are choices being made that are insane, but that work because every's insane.
It is a joy to watch.
Yeah.
100%. I love this movie.
I mean, Helen Slater, obviously, and the younger actors are great. But I want to say, all of these adult actors, they cast like legends.
Legends.
Yeah.
Faye Dunaway.
To have
she
Peter
looks
O'Toole,
amazing. Yes.
Peter Cook is a legend.
Yep.
Faye Dunaway, legend. These are Titanic performers who are delivering lines that are absolute gobbledygook and are making them work so effectively.
Truly.
They're through acting, they are helping you understand as best you can what's happening in the movie, because the plot is doing you no favor.
I kind of feel like this is a movie where on some level you have to go like, this is insane. And they all just, they made a pact. Like, we're just going to
let's go for it.
They're going to go for it. And there was something, I think that's sometimes it is a slog to go through films like this. And this was give me more of any one of these characters, because they all could hold a film by themselves. And I mean, again, I just want to keep on shouting out Nigel, because Nigel really is doing a lot. He has a lot of different levels there as a performer. And there's a scene
It's also really funny to me that we're introduced to him in the picnic scene with Faye Dunaway, and they're talking about, it's a villain introduction scene. They're talking about, taking over the world. He says it's invisibility. She finally gets the orb of power. She kind of banishes him in a way from her kind of plans. She decides she's going to go it alone. And then the next time we pick him up is when he's a math teacher at the high school that Supergirl has inexplicably decided she needs to attend. So I was like, wait a minute. One of the most evil, villainous kind of characters is also just a high school math teacher. He has access to the most evil magic wand in existence, which we find out later. Right. He knows all about dark magic. He also teaches high school math.
The magic seemed for him to just be like an extracurricular activity.
Yeah.
A pastime.
Yeah, he seems like he knew it, and he seemed like he really was in love, and that's what I really he felt like he really loved.
Okay, let's talk about that. So did Faye Dunaway? Did she?
Paul.
I know.
Yeah, you okay, babe?
Are you okay?
It's okay. I just feel like you don't get to see
neither
real...
Paul or I have experienced human touch in about 4 months, so it's hard. But
believe me, I get it.
Sorry, Jason. You know. But so. Did Faye Dunaway really have feelings for the landscaper?
Well, Brenda Vaccaro is the one who sees him first, right? She's driving. By the way, Brenda Vaccaro is Joey Tribbiani's mom. She's driving the car.
She's incredible.
She's incredible.
An incredible character actor who's been in
everything.
Literally everything for the last 40 years.
And
just dropping one-liners at every stage. Right. She's driving. She's the chauffeur. Faye Dunaway's in the back. I have a feeling a lot of the times from what I read was that Faye Dunaway showed up late a lot. So you can tell there are certain scenes where she's not there and they're just cutting off a shot and being like, this is it. It's very Vin Diesel rock Fast and Furious shooting where it's just not here. But they she looks at this landscaper and she's like, ooh la la. She's like, I got his number off the landscaping truck. And then that's the moment where Faye Dunaway is like, you know what? I'm done with the invisibility thing. Now I'm into the love thing.
Right.
And that's when she concocts her next plan to be like, now it's all about getting a landscaper to
Now
fall
I'm
in
going
love
to make
with
a
me.
love spell.
But she didn't even need the core, the glass gourd
Yeah.
for that. She's like, I'm saving that for later. So she just veers off for a second
I
with a
would
spider
argue,
and a walnut.
though, that she's such a beautiful kind of kinetic woman that she could have just tried to introduce herself.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
she's not like this creature
Wow.
of the night. Like, she's a gorgeous
She's beautiful.
woman.
And she's
It's a
got
very good point.
But look, she does live in, I don't want to
amusement
judge anybody. She does live in an abandoned theme park.
She does live specifically in the
right?
haunted part of the amusement
Yes.
park too, which is interesting.
Yeah,
choice.
and when he shows up, he's creeped out by her. She's like, "Would you like to wet your whistle?"
Yeah, but still agreeing to a beverage. I was
Yes.
like, I don't know if I would.
Yeah, not at that
Right.
house. No.
Here's what I want to know. So when they're in the car and they see the hunk, doing landscaping.
Who, by
He's
the
a
way, do you know who that
landscaper.
is? That's Ellis from Die Hard.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I just want to take a quick break from you saying landscaping just to point out what landscaping means in this, because it took me the second time to understand what he was doing, which was first you cut to him and he's sawing a
Yes.
really large branch on a tree, like an entire trunk, okay? He's sawing it, and then they cut back and she's like, that's my prince. I get it. And then we cut back to him and he's painting the tree.
I was looking at
Yes.
that too, and I was like, "Is that
So
some sort
is
of
he
a sap
gluing
thing?
it? Is he painting it? I don't know
Is he
enough
set
about
deck?
landscaping to say, but I've never seen that done before.
I was wondering if he was putting sap on the root or something like that. I don't
from
know.
a paint can?
That is tricky. Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you. I noticed that as well, and I was like, no, what is the job he's actually executing right now? Unclear. But Faye Dunaway and Brenda Vaccaro are watching it, lusting after him. And when we later cut into the high school girls' shower scene, the girls are also talking about the hunky landscape guy who was cutting the tree. So once again, in a weird bit of coincidence, all the main characters have just been within 500 feet of each other, which happens
I think that's
constantly.
why her bracelet keeps on going off, and that's what's confusing to Kara. She's like, why is it going? Like her bracelet is somehow
is it going
connected
off?
to the orb. I think her bracelet's connected to the orb.
I think the bracelet's like a proximity alert for the orb.
Yes. And so she's always kind of like trying to figure out where the orb is. But then they really all fall in. And I will say, this movie does do a weird things with ages because they are in high school, right? They're not college. This is high school.
I don't know, because then they were referring to it as a dorm when we saw the posters.
So it's
dorm
boarding school.
G
You could do a
against
boarding school.
Selena.
Yeah.
It seemed like
As
a boarding school to me with like crests on the blazers and so
Right.
forth.
Yeah, the very Harry
it felt
Potter.
Like, it felt like Chilton to me from Gilmore Girls.
No, you bring up a good point, Paul, because he's too old for them. They're probably all underage. And
Right. Is she
he is.
too old?
I couldn't quite tell. Like, is this his landscaping business, or is he like a worker?
It's
Well, he does show up. He does show
it
up.
says Ethan's landscaping on the truck.
Well, Ethan,
Okay.
by the
He's
way-
a one-man operation. He's not very successful because all he does is cut live limbs off trees and then paint the stump.
And then he comes like when she's like, "Are you single?" He's like, "I'm in a part of my life where like we get like a little insight on like Ethan too. Like Ethan got out of a bad breakup and he's just kind of now he doesn't want to be
Here's
tied
the
down.
thing. Ethan and Faye Dunaway or Ethan and Brenda Vaccaro 100% work as a couple, right?
Yes.
They seem to be age appropriately
Yeah.
in the same realm, okay? Ethan and a boarding school girl is way wrong. Is like definitively this is a bizarre pairing.
What about Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane's sister?
I thought Jimmy Olsen was a student.
Is he the guy that had the camera?
Yes.
Yeah,
The guy that's like, he's probably got drugs or a gun. Let's go eat.
Yes, exactly. So that's
I'm
Jimmy
hungry.
Olsen.
Yeah, that's
he
Jimmy
is
Olsen.
the photographer for the Daily
He's
Planet.
the only character that has recurred through all the Superman movies because Christopher Reeve at the last second decided not to do a cameo in this film, and so they were like, we need to bring in someone from the other movies to create our universe, and they bring in Jimmy Olsen, who is an adult. I mean, he's the youngest.
He's
kid
always supposed to be a kid. They call him like a kid,
but he's like on staff. Like he's a working photographer at a national or at the biggest city paper. Like he's not going to school. He's not Peter Parker like handing in photos and going to high school. Like he is. Right. He is the photographer for the Daily Bugle, and he is dating a high school student. Potentially.
Well, or kissing. I think he's at least kissing.
A lot of kissing in this movie. By the way, the kissing in this movie, when she kisses herself in the mirror, and then Ethan touches her lip, like, can I ask that question? Like, is that... What do we feel about that? I don't...
Well, ask what you want to ask, Paul.
What are you trying to say?
Who are you asking?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I will ask
it. Who you're looking at.
All right, so I will ask it to...
I feel like I should turn off my screen, and Brie, maybe you should as well.
All right, so my question is
we might all get kissed by Paul right now.
I'll just go in like the way that she goes like...
Yeah, if we all turn off our screens, Paul, you can do it to yourself, and we'll be able to see what's happening.
Thank you. No, I felt like it was a little like... I felt like their kissing was nice, but then I feel like their goodbye kiss was just him putting his finger like in her mouth and like kind of like it's kind of like blopping down her bottom lip. It didn't seem to me to hold any passion. And I just felt like is that fulfilling? Is it fulfilling? I don't know. I
think you're right. I actually noticed the kiss between Ethan and Faye Dunaway, and I was like, ooh, that I want to watch.
That's kissing.
Yes, but you have to remember that Supergirl is a child.
and has never been when Ethan first kisses her, her face is recognizing like what is happening.
Right.
Yes.
So when she starts making out with herself in the mirror, that's her trying to figure out what this kissing business is all about, I guess.
I thought that was really endearing and so sweet. But it sounds like, Paul, you wanted more passion from her.
No,
from the child?
No, now you're putting me under. Now you're putting
more tonguing of the mirror, Paul?
No, I don't want anything of the mirror. I just was saying that I felt like it was an anticlimactic, it felt like, first of all, this movie ends in an insane way where basically they go, hey, we'll never say that we saw you. Wait, why? What? I don't understand why that was a thing. Yeah, why are we all disavowing any knowledge of this superhero that was prominently in the town?
And what about the castle that appeared on the mountaintop? Like, does everyone forget that's going to be there? Or the only part to forget is her?
There's a journalist on site. Jimmy Olsen's
taking
there
pictures.
for the whole thing, taking pictures of everything. Are we saying like he's not going to publish?
Well, that's what he says. He's like, I won't talk about this. Like everyone is like on the same page immediately. Like
it's
this
a goddamn
never happened.
cover-up. It's a cover-up.
But what does it matter? You know, I mean, she still gets to go on and save her planet. Like,
this is why I love this movie so much. I'm serious. Like, this is why I watch movies like this, is for the conversation, because I think for those of us that like, we watch a lot of movies or you read scripts, it's like things become so, you can see what's happening a mile away.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, like,
really
I could do, if you turn your eyes away for a second, you're like, wait, what just happened?
I rewound
and it's so engaging in that way because you just can't. Like, you really won't make any sense.
You cannot believe what's happening.
It's amazing.
Yes.
One of the most engaging movies I've ever seen, period.
Yes.
That's my hot take.
You have a character who so often seems like they are understanding the world they're in and are executing on an incredibly high level. Right? She's Supergirl. She has a mission. She's going to school. She's doing this. And you're like, okay, she's kind of got it locked in. And then you've got like, well, more than halfway through the movie, you've got a scene in which she tries a bra on the outside of her blazer.
I can't believe
I was like,
stuffs it.
And stuffs it. And I was like, what's happening? Why does she now not know what and how a bra works?
Well, because she's not getting dressed. She's just visualizing those clothes on her body.
Yes, I assume so. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the only way I can kind of... But it is odd because at one point they're like, you can wear any of my clothes, but she just wears the uniform.
The school uniform.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that piece of dialogue, because Lucy says, you can wear anything from my closet, just dig in and help yourself. Which I was like, I don't think I want that now.
Yeah. Let's just dig into this main sequence of the movie, which is an hour into the film, where where Lois Lane's sister's like, hey, we're going to go to Popeyes. And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, cool. Like Popeyes, a cool bar in town or something. No, they're going to the fast food restaurant, Popeyes. Mm-hmm. They go to town. And this is where Faye Dunaway is trying to capture her love because he's escaped her spell and he's wandering around in a stupor, and she gets a mind control over a backhoe and then is chasing him with a sentient backhoe and to try to scoop him up. And the backhoe's going crazy over town. And it this is the biggest action sequence really in the film, I think, is this sequence where it's about a truck that's slowly moving down a block.
Slowly moving down the block. And a truck that Supergirl, at any moment, it takes her so long to get involved.
I know. Lucy is a better Supergirl, to be honest. She jumps right into the fray and recognizes we've got a dangerous situation on our hands.
Lucy jumps on that truck, does her own stunts, and immediately is knocked out. But at any point, Supergirl, who is so powerful, you would think would just stand in front of the truck and stop her,
go grab it, pick it up, and fly it someplace else.
But she disconnects the front of it and lets the truck continue to run.
While the truck has already destroyed a gas station that's sure to explode, a number of small businesses in this town.
A wedding is happening. A truck full of hay and a New York City taxi. The hay truck is one of my favorites.
So unnecessary and so important.
There are so many civilian deaths that could have been prevented, just from the car accidents and all the rest that happened from the slow-moving tractor.
By the way, that sequence took 22 days to shoot.
Oh my God.
22
that's
days.
Amazing.
And that's clearly on a locked, that's a back lot. That's a built street. I do have some problems with Kara's superheroing in that moment because there's a tire fire.
By the way, Paul, I love that you continue to call her by her by her Christian
Kryptonian name?
Yeah. I give her I put respect on it. She didn't call herself Supergirl. Somebody at the end, Faye Dunaway, angrily at the end goes, you Supergirl.
And she delivers that line.
She does.
She delivers this is what I'm saying.
Crushes.
These actors are so good.
I mean, when Faye Dunaway has to describe what kind of witch she is, here's a clip.
I am Selena, Dionysus of Catania, priestess of Seknit. I am the ultimate siren of Endor, and you, little lady, are trespassing on private property.
She means him. I am Kara of Argo City, daughter of Alora and Zor-El. And I don't scare easily.
Flawless performance, not good, not sleeping on anything. But so those tires are on fire, and what she decides to do is fly through a water tower instead of just using her breath to put out the tire fire. It seems like she creates more destruction. It seems like Supergirl is creating more destruction. She doesn't stop the truck. She just takes the first part off. The truck crashes.
I'd love to see what you would do, Paul, in that situation.
I know.
Wow.
When you've got all the destruction around you, I just want to know, what would you do? Would you be thinking that clearly if you just got your powers yesterday?
She seems to blow a guy into a fence.
You know what the whole scene felt like? The whole scene felt like a town-wide version of the game Mousetrap. You know what I mean? This whole piece of this has been hit, and now the tires are on fire. This is happening over here, so this is crumbling. The gas is going. It felt like a Rube Goldberg machine, because her solutions also, like you're saying, weren't always direct.
Yeah.
They were also indirect things. So it felt like the whole thing was like a series of bizarre traps and also bizarre solutions that were unnecessary.
When she defeats Faye Dunaway in that first scene where, again, vehicle control, where they're controlling the bumper cars, she just puts poles around her, but the poles don't seem like poles don't nullify witches' powers. It wasn't like they were special poles.
No, because she could melt them or whatever.
Yeah, she does.
I also couldn't figure out why bumper cars were such a threat.
Those were the scariest bumper cars I've ever seen in my life.
They weren't going faster. They weren't more powerful. It was just she turned the bumper cars on while the man was in the thing. All he had to do was jump in one of the cars and enjoy the ride. It's just bumper cars.
Or just walk out of the ride.
Or just get up and walk away and be like, oh, I'm out. See ya. But he's like scrambling around like, like he's terrified of just the bumper cars.
I mean, this movie clearly has a problem with villains because what you want to see is like, you want to see your hero fight a villain, and the first villain that she sends is just air. Like it's two shadow monsters. The first shadow monster comes at night and has nothing. It's
no corporeal form.
Yes, and the second shadow monster is a little more. He's still translucent, but not fully there.
Can I ask a question? Is the second shadow monster that has like claws and almost looks like a dragon or something like that? Is that meant to be the box that the orb has been in this whole time, growing now?
That was one of those moments, for me, like you said, Brie, where you like look away. Like I looked away from the screen for a second and I turned back and that thing was there.
Yeah, and you're like, what happened?
Was shocking. But I did
Why
think
do I
that
feel like,
Jason,
though,
that it
June...
I'm sorry?
Why do I feel like, though, June, you said you looked away for a second, but you really looked away for like 15 minutes?
I mean, probably. That's probably true.
June went on a TikTok wormhole for about 9 minutes. But I thought it was her soul, because doesn't Nigel say at one point, like, you only will be a black magician if you look into your soul. You have to acknowledge how evil you are, or something like that. He said something to her, and then she gives him like acne. But
I know.
But in that moment, I thought that like that's her evilness. But then I don't know. I mean, that first fight scene is rough for any actor to. I mean, I guess maybe it's like a movie without CGI because there's nothing going on.
I assumed it was budget. I assumed they just didn't have.
No, they had a lot of budget. This is a big budget
now I'm hearing
movie.
differently.
Yeah, what was the budget for this?
$35 million. In 1984, $35 million.
I don't understand then why that first fight was like with an invisible object, because that made no sense. She flies up into the sky and with the pole, with the telephone pole, the street lamp pole, and keeps getting electrocuted, hit by lightning, and all of that fight. I was like, I'm not sure entirely what this is for. What is the?
And Brie, I'm gonna throw it back at you. You said that she doesn't she doesn't know what to do, but in that situation she's like, oh, okay, I'll break a telephone pole, I'll fly up into outer space, I'll get a lightning bolt to hit it, and then I'll do, like, she's very quick to figure out that solution.
Yeah, I don't have answers for that. I was terrified when she was flying in the thunderstorm with the rod. I was like, don't do this.
Yeah, no, this is dangerous.
Do this. This is a no.
Especially for a kids movie.
Yes, I think that was not good representation. But I mean, the reason why we're here is because the movie is what it is. And then there were times where I still was like, I wish I was let in a little bit more into what the rules were. Just like what her powers are, like, because it seemed like it kind of was like, well, she can see things, but then also she can change her clothes. And so I just was like, I want to know what happens when you go from inner space to Earth that gives you these powers, or at least like she never seemed surprised by what she could do either. It was just like, of course I can change my clothes into a prep school uniform. And so that was the stuff where I was
where she didn't have these powers on her home. Like that is definitely, we know that to be true.
Well, yeah, I mean, it definitely appeared that way.
Yeah. And when she gets to the Phantom Zone, she also doesn't have her powers.
And but yet, when she is in the house, that's the castle on top of the rock, when the floor is like that weird lava, she doesn't get up and fly.
I thought the same thing. I thought the same thing. I know.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. That's the one thing we know you can do is fly.
The movie kept trying to, I feel like, have it both ways of being like, she's Supergirl. She can do anything. She can defeat the bad guys. She can do this. But it also wanted it to be like, she's just become Supergirl. She doesn't know what these powers are. She doesn't know yet how to fly, she doesn't have it's not instinctual yet. It's still learning. learned.
At points,
I don't know.
Incredibly capable, and at points, straight up idiot. And I think that they are
I can't believe you're calling Supergirl an idiot.
I'm saying that. Oh, wow. Geez,
people are really going to come for you.
I know that's it. Now that's it. I've just sealed my fate. I will say, before we kind of wrap up here, I do want to say.
You hear that, Kara Zor-El?
Oh no, she's going to come from inner space to get me. Peter O'Toole in the Phantom Zone. That performance to me was. I just love his I'm here and I'll be here for the rest of my life. I'm
great.
dead. He really embodied
with his
Can I just say the other
with his spritzer bottle?
Oh my God! Open your mouth. Spritz.
Squirt.
The other performance I loved was, which we haven't talked about yet, was the den mother at the dorm.
Oh yeah.
Drunk.
I forgot about her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just is in one scene, right?
Yeah.
I thought
we hear about her.
We hear about her. Yes, she's in the scene where Supergirl comes back and signs in at night. She's in her costume
after she defeated the shadow monster.
She's forgotten to change back into her Linda
but the den mom
persona.
is kind of drunk, and you see the TV in the background, and you get a glimpse of that room. And it looks so there's certain things about this movie that were so great and specific in the way that it looked. That room, I was trying to zoom in on my computer screen to see it because it just looked so messy and specific and weird. And then that was so great. And then also the costumes, to not make Faye Dunaway a witchy witch.
Yes.
To make her this kind of beautiful, cream flowing outfits. And she looks gorgeous, but also like a witch. It was just
Brenda Vaccaro
so
too. It's dressed well. She's tailored well.
What was weird about it is they both, I thought, looked great, and to your point, had great wardrobe. And if you had put them in the penthouse of a skyscraper, they would have felt like Lex Luthor level villains.
Yeah,
they would have felt oh, these are the powerful villains that Supergirl is going to need to take down. So it was all the stranger, and I will say, so much more interesting as a viewer to see them repeatedly struggling to pay the rent and be stuck inside of an abandoned
now actually
park.
I'm wondering if they've spent all their money on their clothes.
Maybe.
Well, that, look, we didn't see their credit card bills and they didn't address it, but they were trying to get the coven to be a pyramid scheme. We do hear them say, if we get enough people in to our coven, we can, they're having a lot of plans.
But what was the plan with the orb thing? Okay.
What was her plan when she makes the gardener fall in love? Okay, let's just start from there. When she makes the gardener fall in love with her,
when I watched it the second time, I understood it. The thing's beeping, and she's like, "Oh, it's telling me that this is my prince, and we're going to be this power couple." So on second viewing, that made sense to me. Okay, she's like, "Got to get my prince for the power couple moment." But then after that, it's always well, I'm saving the power orb for something else, and then it became really vague what it was. And then at the end, she's got this giant map, and she's using a compass, and she's pointing to the map, and she's like, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. By Saturday, we'll have them all. And I was like, I still don't know what you're doing. Is it that by Saturday, everybody will love you?
Yeah,
if that's true, then why did we need the walnut and the spell with the spider? Because by Saturday, it's all handled.
But then also we see a quick glimpse, and this is something that is very confusing, where she is in a limousine going around being almost treated like a queen, and people have protest signs up we must get rid of Selena, and it's wait, how did this happen so quickly? I don't even know what transpired there. And how do they park that car and then go all the way to the top?
Yeah. How?
Yeah.
How
what is
are
the
there
Phantom Zone?
The Phantom Zone is
when she's in the glass thing, and then she lands with.
I know what it is, but where does it exist in we've kind of been okay, so
it's
inner space exists
dimension.
Deep in this lake in this small town, I guess. But then Phantom Zone comes up and is and Faye Dunaway is the one that makes it happen.
She's able to.
Make it happen. That was I didn't understand.
Okay, so Faye Dunaway. So I think we were talking about two different things. Faye Dunaway banishes Supergirl to the Phantom Zone, which is basically another. It's like another dimension. It's where Superman sends General Zod and those people in it's that same floating 2-dimensional mirror looking thing. When Faye Dunaway says, "I think what did she say? I think I need to do some redecorating around here. I think it needs to look nicer around here," and it snaps, and then there's the mountain, and then there's the castle at the top of the mountain, and that's now where she lives. But what I couldn't understand is, why does everybody know that who Selena is, that Selena did this, so that they can be even protesting like, we don't want you here, Selena.
I think Selena, Jason, at that point must have, and these are the scenes that we didn't get to see, but I think she must have commandeered the military, the police department.
That's right. You said that's what she said in the thing. Yeah.
Oh, did she? But that's
she says we'll start with the police. We'll start with the military. Brenda Vaccaro does says something like that. Yeah.
So, I mean, we never got to see that, but I think some time must have passed. I mean, I don't know that that's a 24-hour thing.
That society is dead. Her society that she lives in is dead in this time, because so much time has passed. Unless we don't understand how time in the not the quantum zone, but the inner space zone works. But it seems like she's gone for a long time, and even
a dictatorship has been established.
Perhaps, yeah, okay,
and also Peter O'Toole seems like he's been in the Phantom Zone for a long time, but it seems like only a week. But maybe in the Phantom Zone it's like a month. Like that, no one's saying oh, in here every hour is 4 years, or you need someone to say.
This movie is surprisingly short on exposition, which is in normal times, in normal iterations of a superhero story or a sci-fi thing, when there are rules that are atypical to the rules of our world, somebody, a scientist, an expert, somebody says, this is what's happening, ... And that is completely absent here. Even though there are people, like I suspect Peter Cook or some other people who seem to have knowledge, or Peter O'Toole, they seem to have knowledge, they just don't share it, which is very strange.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I always say, don't treat your audience as being dumb, but in this one I'm like, we're a little dumb. You got to let us in a little, you got to do a little bit, give us a little bit. I've never seen a movie just be barren of exposition, because I really don't know who they are, what they're doing, why they're doing it, and again, we can't make heads or tails of the plan. I guess the plan is that everyone would love her, but it doesn't even really work, because when she is the emperor of the world, or ruling the world, people are protesting against her. So that's against what she was saying. And even when she does the spell on the guy, it seems like Supergirl has an ability to break that spell. And then Supergirl...
No, it's because Peter Cook breaks the walnut shell with the spider, and it says, oops, the spider got out, which breaks the love spell.
But when she first gets him, he's trying to escape, he's been drugged.
He has been drugged.
Right, so he's not under her spell. He's like...
No, because it's when the spell, the incantation, she says, is the first person, after you drink this, the first person you lay eyes on, you will be in love with that person.
Didn't they do that?
No, he wanders out into the world before he can lay eyes on her. So that's why
it's also very specific. It's the first person you lay eyes on, or one day.
Oh, really?
The specifics of the spell.
That's amazing.
Now, let me ask a question to the men in the room, because there is a statement made by some of the young women in the movie where they say all guys go crazy for ear piercings. Mm-hmm. True or false?
Well, it's 1984, right?
It's 1984.
So true.
Yeah. I feel in 1984, there was nothing more erotic than pierced ears.
A feather earring. I feel like earrings got a lot more attention in the 80s. I feel like you would go to the mall, people would be getting their ears pierced. Guys were getting their ears pierced. I feel like 84 and earrings were big.
Guys, I'm not going to lie. I pierced one of my ears in, I think, 1985, probably.
Wow.
Has it?
I pierced one of my ears.
Wow. So this movie could have influenced that decision.
You know what? It was because of this movie. I saw this movie and I was like, wait a minute, guys go crazy for pierced ears? Get me in on this.
Yeah.
I
did pierce one of my ears.
Earlobes are the way. That's it. Decorate those earlobes. Get them.
Yeah, but
I agree. It's not. I don't think it is any kind of known.
I just wanted to check in about that. And Jason, has your ear hole closed?
You know, it has. I wore an earring for maybe max 2 months.
Wow.
It was not.
You
it
know,
was
I used
not
to have
a.
my nose pierced.
Oh, I don't know that I knew that.
Yeah.
I wore a fake earring. What?
Yeah, you wore a fake earring? Wait, you really threw that away, quote unquote. What?
What are you talking about?
I wore a fake
Like
earring.
a clip-on?
Like a clip-on earring?
Yeah, like a little magnet-y guy. Like
what was it? Like a stud?
So did you tell people you? So did you tell people you pierced your ear?
Well, my friend Joe Weiss had pierced his ear, and I thought that was cool, and I was like, I want to do it too. My mom's like, never. And I got one of the little clip flops.
Did you ever get busted?
No, I don't think anyone really checked in. And I also did this. This is the other thing I did.
What was? I'm sorry. What was the front facing? What was
like a little gold ball. Like a ball, like very small.
And the back was a magnet, so it just stuck on together?
Yes, exactly. I will tell you this. This is the other thing that
probably
I did.
very dangerous.
At a certain point. I will say this. I also, because I went to a Catholic school and they were very, they had to do certain things. I hid not having an earring, but pretending to have an earring by putting a Band-Aid on my earlobe. Because so basically boys would have to hide their earrings at school by putting a Band-Aid on their earlobe.
But girls could wear earrings or they couldn't?
Yes. Yeah, the girls could wear earrings.
So basically you knew who a cool dude was because he had a Band-Aid on his ear.
Yeah. And I was one of them cool.
You're like, ooh,
dudes.
That's a bad boy over there because he's got a Band-Aid on his ear.
With my fake pierced ear and my shirt from Boys in the Hood, that the Cuba Gooding Jr. 4-panel shirt. That was me at the roller skating rink. Just doing it up, living my best life.
That entire sentence. Would I have ever predicted it ended at the roller skating rink?
You got to get out. You got to show your good stuff. Obviously, we have opinions about this movie. There are people out there with a different opinion. It is now time for second opinions.
The movie was a piece of shit, yet this person recommends it. Tell me what is the message? Maybe that art is subjective. I need a second opinion.
Thank you, John LaJoie. All right, so these are second opinions, cold from Amazon. There are 1,397 reviews of Supergirl. There are 72% of them are 5 stars. So this is some of the highlights of these 5-star reviews. This is from Joan Staubach. She writes this in 2020. This movie is great for youngsters. Special effects are early 80s, but it's a good versus evil story with some goofiness for the kiddies. No one jumping out of bed and leaving their partner du jour to save the world or gratuitous shower scenes. 5 stars. Okay, sure. That's that one. And then we have this one. This is from Vin Skinsky. Goes, I've always liked Helen Slater, but I never had purchased the movie. The crap they put on television is nothing compared to when they made TV for entertainment. 5 stars. And then...
Wait, this wasn't a TV movie.
It did go on to be... She did do a TV show after.
Oh, she did?
Oh,
yes,
okay.
this turned into a TV show after, which I can't wait to watch.
Now I got to see that. She definitely has appeared on the new Supergirl as in part of the mythology. This is from VK Mangalarvis. I went to see this film 5 times in a week back in 1984, and I was frustrated there was never a sequel with Helen. I watched the extended cut 3 times in one night. It was amazing. The music is superb. I own the vinyl and the CD. My favorite scene is when Supergirl falls in love with that cute man and kisses him. You watch that scene and you fall in love with Helen. Period. And the title is, if you had to watch this movie when you were 15, you would love it. 5 stars.
If you had to watch this movie, if you were forced to watch this movie when you were 15, as all 15-year-olds should be.
And then this one gets a little bit deeper from Ivan Ramirez. He goes, when it comes to Helen Slater and Supergirl, I tend to be a little partial because that blonde changed my life entirely. She was the first blonde I ever saw.
Oh, God. I don't like this at all.
And I fell in love immediately. I hope to meet her someday before I pass away because I love her and I always will.
Oh, this is...
Before I pass away?
Is not right. This is not right.
And he goes, but with all that being said, I will be objective about my review. The story is bad, and there's too many things that are unreasonable in the story. 5 stars. And the title is Too Much Maybe, but for a collector, it's worth it. And those are some of the 5-star reviews. Some of the here's my last one. This is my favorite one. Sorry, I couldn't forget this one. From Adam S., written in 2018. I could never find this in any stores like Walmart, Target, or those other stores. I would have bought this if those stores would carry it. But no, they don't have it. Thank you. I knew you were laughing when I said that. It's all right, once again, but no, they didn't have it.
Amazing.
That person is great. Those are some.
I understand why that was your favorite one.
Yeah.
Because you just wanted to do that.
I wanted to really get my acting out. The movie came out in 1984. The budget was $35 million. The opening weekend was $5 million. It made $14 million. It came in 66th place of all the movies that were released that year. It was beaten by films that we've done on this show, Rhinestone, Breakin' 2, but it beat Streets of Fire, Ninja 3 Domination, and Runaway. Here is one thing that I thought was pretty great about it.
Which is also interesting because in this movie, Lois Lane's sister calls the tractor trailer that's going, she says, it's a runaway.
Yeah. Which is
there's two technological movies in the same year where
the word runaway.
The driverless machines are called runaways.
I mean, Maximum Overdrive is so upset they got on this too late. This movie had 14 taglines. They couldn't decide which one they liked. But here are the ones that I'll read, the ones that are the best. She has all the power of the universe, but she still has to learn about love. From another galaxy into your hearts. She taught him what it was to fly. He taught her what it was to love.
What?
And then you'll believe a girl can fly. But that's a parody of You Believe a Man Can Fly from Superman. The only interesting thing that I thought is worth mentioning in the information that Nate put together here was that Dolly Parton was originally the witch, the choice of everyone to be the witch, which I thought would have been so cool. But Dolly Parton said she could never play a witch. She's like, no. I'm not doing that. I
would have loved that. But I mean, I loved Faye Dunaway. I thought she was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, Faye Dunaway is amazing.
There's so much in this that I liked, and it was a blast.
I love
and
this
again,
movie.
Yeah, I did
compared
too.
to like
allow me to say it again. This movie is fantastic.
Well, Brie, you'll be
and so much of it. I want to say this because everybody's been saying this. So much of what's great about this movie is Helen Slater and the cast of characters they have surrounded her with. Because without Helen Slater, who is fantastic, and I urge everybody to please watch The Legend of Billie Jean. Without her, and then without Peter O'Toole, Peter Cook, Faye Dunaway, Brenda Vaccaro, this movie would have been, I suspect, unwatchable.
I agree, and I will say just one other thing that is interesting, and Brie, I think you will like this. There is an extended cut of this movie.
I heard you say that earlier and was like, wait, there's more than the 2 hours?
Yes, there is 21 minutes of extra footage, and there's even more apparently that wasn't even restored, but there is a Blu-ray that I tried to buy last night, and I might go back and try it again. It is 21 minutes of footage is restored, and they said that there's actually an hour of footage in the vaults with the Superman 2 footage that they redid.
We need to be very careful that we don't start a hashtag release the Supergirl cut.
I'm so here for this.
I was like, release the Nigel cut, get it out there. But this is how they found the footage.
Nigel cut.
They found a film container simply stating the words, do not use. And inside, that's where they found all this extra footage. According to what I read online, there's not much more stuff that makes sense. It's extended scenes, a little bit more. And one of the scenes does involve Selena and the protesters. And a big puddle of water appears in one of those scenes. And it's because in the deleted scene, Selena has retaliated at a female protester by transforming her into an ice and then shattering her. So Selena does a little bit more evil stuff in that. we all agree. We want to see this movie again. I watched it again. I watched it over 2 nights and I rewound it and I enjoyed it. And I was rewatching it here and loving it. And I didn't even notice that like when Helen Slater comes out of the water for the first time, it's just a cardboard cutout because they couldn't afford to pull her out of the water.
I didn't know that.
Just, it is.
I gotta
you watch
rewatch
it.
that.
Oh, it is a full-on cardboard cutout of her, and I think it's another one that goes back in, which is great.
Oh, here's what I'll say, because I know there's going to be a lot of nerds who are like, that's canon.
Right.
The reason she's at that school is because that's canon. That's the story of Supergirl.
Argo City, we know it. We know it.
There's a lot of stuff we get that's part of comics canon that we are not aware of. So if we have complained about it, or if we've said it didn't make sense, perhaps it is from
but based
something.
On the movie,
but
you have
inside
to tell us
of the movie.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yes.
I'm not apologizing to those people or giving them any fucking time of day. A movie is made for people to watch. And unless
Agreed.
I am told you must see all these other things before, I'm going to base my experience on what is being presented before me.
Correct.
Brie, you have a brand new podcast. Tell us about this podcast that you have.
Yeah, it's called Learning Lots with Brie and Jesse. I'm doing it with my best friend, Jesse Ennis. And it's just a way for us to learn more. I realized that in particular, the pandemic gave me a lot of time to reflect and realize the privilege I have of conversation, that there's so many interesting people that I get the opportunity to speak with and learn more from. And I was like, well, I would love to be able to share this information and make it available to all. So yeah, we're doing topic-based conversations with experts and friends. And we've only done a couple episodes, but it's just been really fun. And I've already learned a ton, even just learning how to make a podcast. And it's a little nerve-wracking for me. I mean, even doing things like this where I'm being myself rather than a character is like a new experience for me. And so I'm glad. I mean, I think it's a good kind of discomfort.
I have to say, I've watched a few of the vlogs that you've done on YouTube, and it's you really have done an amazing job of doing like I think you really have created like a big world to kind of be in, whether it is about whatever, a daily routine or a really interesting conversation about, race or then you can go into exercise stuff. I feel like it's very, very empowering and very inspiring.
Thank you.
The stuff I've seen. Yeah, it's really, really awesome.
It's been fun.
June, Jason, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'll plug a few things. So I'm excited about that podcast and I will definitely be listening. Even though I said don't come down to the world of podcasts, I am also going to be launching a podcast. If you haven't heard it yet, the deep dive, the podcast I am doing with Jessica St. Clair is out. And I encourage everybody to check it out, Paul. And Jason, I know Paul has never invited us onto his other podcast, but you, my friend, are welcome to come on.
Wow.
That sounds, by the way,
podcast.
June, thank you. Thank you for that generosity.
No, it's shocking how easy it is to do.
I told you guys, we're really booked up.
After doing a podcast for over a decade with you, it's so easy. It's one of the easiest things in the world.
It's so hard for me to, I got to have a lot of dates and stuff.
Yeah.
And you're in Canada right now, June, so I can't even figure out
more
your
than
schedule.
available. I'm actually on
Jason,
ice
you're out of the house a lot.
Couple
you're
weeks.
Out of the house
I'm not out of.
Yeah.
I mean, all I do is sit in my closet and wait to podcast.
Couldn't be
Jason,
more
what do you
there.
have going on?
One more thing I want to plug, Paul, just really quickly. One more thing I want to plug is my very best friend in the world, Casey Wilson, has an unbelievable book that's coming out on May 4th called The Wreckage of My Presence, published by HarperCollins. It's available wherever books are sold. But of course, I encourage everybody to go to their local indie bookstore and see if it's there. Probably is. And if it's not, you can order it. And I have...
Go to Powell Books.
I have I have a special copy of it that Casey sent me. And I am just blown away by how beautiful her writing is. And it's hilarious and heartbreaking, and that's
May 4th, right?
That is May
the 4th.
May the 4th be with you.
Oh, I wish you hadn't done that.
Is it a Star Wars theme? Is it a Star Wars themed book?
No.
Jedi? She's going to reveal she's a Jedi?
Casey doesn't traffic in that stuff. This is just
Is it a
beautiful
Jedi's
collection.
journal?
No, it's a beautiful collection of essays
the sacred text.
Grief and mothering. You know what? Forget it.
Jason, what do you got?
So season 1 of Invincible,
so good.
A great animated show that I do a voice on, is on Amazon right now. And it's really like fantastic, brutal superhero story. The opposite of this kind of poppy, good feeling kind of light superhero story, like really gruesome, consequences laden superhero stories. That is a blast. I play one of the characters on that. And that's about it.
Well, I want to tell you all about a couple things that I've got going on. You can check out my movies Happily and Arch Enemy, which are on VOD right now. But more importantly, I want to tell everyone to check out my brand new Twitch channel. It's called Friend Zone, and we do a bunch of comedy shows. Jason and I have been doing a show on there called Quar Chat, which is an extension of what we do on the mini episode. I've also do a show with Adam Pally where we punch up your Twitter jokes. Rob Hubel and I every Thursday night do a big old comedy talk show, and there are more and more fun shows. David Wayne hosting a piano bar, and it's a fun... I'm having a blast with it. I love the community. You can visit me at discord.gg/Paul Scheer. And we also have a Discord for How Did This Get Made, which is discord.gg/HDTGM. And I have a little How Did This Get Made area on my page as well. But people, the most important thing is, if you want to keep this conversation going, there is a chance for you to chime in and tell us what you thought about Supergirl. You can do that by calling into our mini episode. The number is 619-PAUL-ASK. That's 619 Paul Ask. And we will talk more about Supergirl or your life problems.
You do have another line.
That is a charged line. That is a charge. That is a charge. My OnlyFans, and that's actually I transferred to OnlyFans, and I'm really happy with I'm really happy with it actually.
You're getting a lot of blowback though. Celebrities on OnlyFans.
Well, but I'm actually delivering the goods, Jason. And a big shout out to all the people.
I really wish you hadn't said it as delivering the goods.
A big shout out to everybody.
Which is to say, you deliver DVD copies of the
Jeremy Piven movie, The Goods,
to people.
Yeah. But I also have to say that this show could not be made without the amazing team that pulls it together every single week. And that starts with our amazing super producer, Cody Fisher. Cody is absolutely amazing, pulls this whole show together. And Devin Bryant, the reason why this show sounds good, the reason why our live shows sound good, the reason why everything is perfect, it's because Devin is behind the boards. He knows how to put this thing together, and he does a damn fine job. Molly Reynolds, who is also just I'm going to call her a power player, an MVP of the show, always helping out wherever we need it. And, of course, our producer, Avril Halley. Avril has a great show called Movie Bitches. We play clips of that on our mini episodes. But more importantly, Avril picks all of these films and picked this one here today. She has been on an absolute roll. A big shout out to July Diaz, who listens through. Make sure that we said everything right. Love July. July, thank you for all your hard work. And can't let it be said enough, but Nate Kiley, I'm going to take a bullet for you, man. You have a brand new baby. You're giving me research every week. You're a fucking champ. And you know what? I may have had the wrong information, but I also learned. So I'm going to sit in that. I'm going to sit in that this week as well. And I want to give a shout out to all the amazing art that people post up on our social pages, which come from the ghost of Craig T. Nelson on Instagram, Zach McAleese, and of course, Kyle Waldron. You can see all of their amazing art on our Facebook and Instagram pages. People, we have shirts, we have merch, we have a lot of cool things, and each one of these things are created by you or us. They are very specific to each individual episode. You can go to tpublic.com/stores/HDTGM, and you can see all the latest stuff. We have a brand new Snyder Cut. We have a Dirt Pipe Milkshake shirt. We got it all in there. I love it all. It's so, so good. And there's sales going on at TeePublic at all times. So thank you for listening. And if you like the show, go back and listen to some older ones. Go sign up for Stitcher Premium, and you can listen to it commercial free. But most importantly, please rate and review the show, especially on iTunes. It helps. It really does help us. And we really appreciate anyone who takes the time to do it. I know that I'm not a person who does that, but if you did it for us, I would be forever, ever grateful. Thank you, Brie, for being here, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, Brie.
Thank you, everyone.
What a delight.
All right. Bye for now.